Look at this, Cosm.
So,
Look at this. We got faces. We got names.
those of you with your cameras on, we thank you dearly for being here. Hey, Shauna, you're excited. Mark, badass background. Ruben Rock, aka D'Artagnan.
Got Reed Florin first in the chat. Not
Oh,
surprising.
not surprising. That's AI though. It doesn't count anymore.
That's AI.
Nothing Reed does counts because it's all
Yeah.
AI.
We're working on a project right now. It's gonna be pretty crazy.
I heard that Reed's making an AI Jason. Isn't that right?
Even better. It's all the perks of Jason without all the bitching. It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, I gotta sit. My motivation strategy costume is I get so pissed off at the thing that I have to fix it. That's the secret to my millions. It's not joy and positive affirmation. It's not morning rituals. It's not gratitude.
Anger.
It's perpetual anger.
That's a good name for a podcast, Perpetual Anger.
Perpetual anger. That's the sort of perpetual traffic, right?
Love that. Drop it into the chat where y'all calling in from. Angelo from Greece,
Uh,
Colorado Springs. We were just
anybody
in
in
Colorado Springs.
anybody in France right now? I'm in France. It's 7 p.m. where I'm at.
Where in France are you, Jay?
I'm in Chamonix. Next to the
Oh,
big mountains. They got like 16 inches of snow. We got stuck in it. It was quite the ordeal.
sounds like it. Rich
Yep.
Goldstein, patent god of the world. What's up, buddy? Kansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. Marina Del Rey from Heather. Maryland. Yogi, how do you say Maryland? How do the Maryland boys say Maryland?
Maryland.
Oh, well,
Maryland.
Maryland.
Awesome. We're waiting just for Perry to hop in here. He's getting an internet connection established and he'll be in and then we'll officially kick this little shindig off.
Yeah, he just moved. I heard he got some furniture though.
Nice. The first house I ever bought, I didn't put furniture in it for 6 months, other than my desk and the bed that I slept in. Then I read the Steve Jobs biography, and he did the same thing. So I was like, oh, I'm in good company. But that's how some of us are. We're a little different. Yeah.
Until I
I
got married, I had boxes, office file boxes for my dresser drawers. That's how I stored my clothing.
Nice. Did you ever
Yeah.
do the cinder blocks for your put the TV
No.
on the cinder? I did. I did when I first started. Yeah.
So, oh, we got a
Well,
parabellum.
technology and stuff, right?
There he is. There's the man.
You
Good
got your
morning.
whiteboard? What's up, buddy?
I got my dirty whiteboard back there. I call it the dirty whiteboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
We're not going to tell people why it's dirty.
Hmm. It ain't cause I ain't cleaned it.
Yeah. Some things can't be Windexed off, Perry.
Some things can't be Wednesday stop. There you go.
Ouch.
Yeah. How are you guys all doing?
Great.
Good, 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 good. Um, so I'm getting two things together real quickly, Kasim, and I'll be right there.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I'm just pulling together I actually have handouts and everything, I'm like a real boy.
Perry wants you to print them.
I do, because you got to print them. If you don't print them and sign them, they ain't worth nothing.
Y'all, this is the Kickstart to 2025 call. If you missed it, we did who was on the predictions call, the 2025 predictions call? Oh, it looks like quite a few of everybody. That call was, well, I won't tell you. I'll ask. How was that call for everybody? Everybody that showed up to the predictions call. Let's help instill some FOMO in the folks that weren't there.
Hmm.
Yeah, fire, phenomenal,
Yeah, it was
awesome,
good.
excellent. I've said this about Perry, especially since I've started working with him. There's no human in the world that can skate to where the puck's going better and more effectively than Perry Belcher. And that predictions call, if you weren't on it, that was amazing. I'm hoping that this call is able to follow suit. Jason Fladlin, for those of you living under a rock, is the billion-dollar webinar man. Sold more money online than I imagine just about any human on the planet, right? Adjusted for margin for error. Is there anybody, Jason, that even a close contender?
I mean, in webinars, no. especially when you calculate in all of the children out there that I've fostered throughout the years.
Jason's foster
Would you
kids.
like
My
to know?
DNA is in a lot of different people's stuff. Yeah.
I bet
Yeah.
that's true in more ways than
In more ways than one.
Speaking of
that's the
Perry's
reason I don't.
whiteboard,
That's the reason I don't ever take those damn 23andMe tests. I ain't doing that shit.
yeah.
It's gonna show
So
up at my
I've
door.
grossed a lot of money, but netted not so much because I got to pay it all out, So that's why I
I
got to
don't know
make
who's.
$1 billion to be a millionaire.
I never know who's
Yeah.
gonna show up at my door. I don't want that responsibility. You know what I mean?
That's why Perry defaults to Uncle Perry because uncles
That's
don't
right.
have to pay.
Dirty Uncle
That's
Barry.
uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uncles don't pay support. All right. Cool. 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 Well, well, Kasim, are you going to kick off? You want to kick off? You want me to kick off? What do you want to do?
Yeah. So, what would be really helpful for us, I think, is let's calibrate for the audience. Drop in a chat. I'd love to know who you are and what you do. What line of business are you in? Because your plan for 2025 is obviously going to be hyper dependent on the industry that you're coming from. Livio says technology. I'd love to know who our ecom people are, info, agency, Melissa, ecom, bullet jewelry,
Taco sellers.
energy consulting. That's a hell of an industry right now, let me tell you. Las Vegas tourist content funnel. Look at that, Perry. Ecom and Ignite. Oh, look at that. Patent law, Rich Goldstein, of course. Custom swag. I'm seeing a lot of ecom, fintech, compost, millions of pounds of food waste to soil products. What an
Oh,
awesome
that's
business.
interesting.
Yeah, I know. I love those the businesses you would never have heard of, but they're probably just massive niches. Trend marketing consultant, private tactical training and consulting. That's awesome. Business resilience. Okay. Here's the thing about predictions in general is nobody ever goes back and holds you accountable to them, which is kind of fun because it means we get to sprek in the bushy babble and talk as much shit as we want. But it also means that, I would take whatever advice you hear on this call, and I'd ask you to operate in the confines of reasonably responsible adults.
Oh, come
That's
on.
as much of a disclaimer as I think we can offer, right, fellas?
Come on. What are we going to do that for?
Just making sure nobody buys stock tips based off of what we're telling
No,
you.
you should. You should go spend all of your money.
Yeah. On
Get
the
out of
Hawk
those, get out of
TUI
those
crypto.
stupid T-bills that are paying you 4.5%. Who wants that?
Dude, 4.5. They were up to 8, weren't they?
I think they only got to about 5.
Either
Yeah.
way, that's free money
Yeah, it is free money.
till the dollar collapses.
If you believe in until you believe Qasim's predictions of how the world's going to end on Tuesday.
I've predicted 13 of the last 2 recessions, Perry. I'm
Happy now.
100%.
All right. Well, let's rock on.
Let's do it.
Who's got something? Who wants to start? Jason, Qasim. We rehearse this over and over and
Yeah.
over.
Well, I've got a drum that I want to beat. Can I beat my drum?
Yeah, beat your drum.
I have a very strong opinion on non-scalable, done-for-you services. I think for anybody, I've seen a lot of ecom and info people drop into the chat, and there's nothing wrong with either of those two things, with the exception being when the more scalable entities start eating your lunch. So if you're in e-commerce, I had a Google Ads agency. I had 200 some odd clients and $100 million in ad spend under management. And I can tell you what ends up happening in the e-commerce space is you make a lot of money until a bigger fish steps in and says, wow, thank you, kids. Really appreciate you, finding where the oil is. We've got better drills and a larger operation, and we're going to come in and effectively replace you. And I think this is true across the board, ecom, info, even agency. I think the things that you're doing that are scalable, I'm not speaking about forced obsolescence per se, but the scalability is actually a detriment. And so I've launched 3 done-for-you agencies in the last 6 months, all 3 of which were profitable almost right away. We did a staffing agency, we've done a go high-level agency, and a financial services agency. And so the 2025 pivot, if anybody's looking for a pivot, and I'd love, Jason and Perry, I'd love your opinions on this specifically, is more of what doesn't scale. The scalability of all things digital worked for us for about 20 years, and now it's going to work against us. Because if it scales, it means it gets commoditized quickly, and commoditization means narrowing of margins. And so as your margins narrow, so too does your profitability. And then it becomes harder and harder and harder to make money. It's just a race to the bottom. And so, like the really turnkey facets of your business start to be things that your clients can figure out how to do for themselves. I'll give you a really specific example. At Solutions 8, we ran Google Ads, and Google Ads became exceptionally scalable. So much so that if you had really solid conversion tracking in place, you could play set it and forget it inside of Google Ads, which means why would I hire a Google Ads agency? So we started to do things like post conversion data. So to put that into layman terms, every single phone call that we catalyzed as a Google Ads agency, we had a team sit there and listen to every single one of those calls and score those calls based off of the client's goals. Now, here's what's cool about that is for an agency that's not doing that, for agencies like, oh my goodness, that's not scalable, they had inadequate data. I had way better data than everybody did, so I had a more efficient shop. So I think that the drum that I want to beat here is find the inefficiencies in your market, find the inefficiencies in your industry, and that's the opportunity. The things that don't scale, the things that require human capital. Everybody wants to figure out like, oh, what can AI do? I think the answer for 2025 is figuring out what AI cannot do. What can AI not do in your industry? What requires human power, human capital? Really well thought through processes, really developed infrastructure. And that's the direction that I would lead anybody that I'm talking to if they want to future-proof their business and their industry. I'm going to pause there.
I will take the baton. Thank you, Qasim. Let's put it into a plan, right? So we did predictions last week. This week we're talking planning. This is where the rubber meets the road. What are the things you do Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4? In your calculus for your plan, here's something I want you to consider heavily. Stress test your plan. By the way, if you don't have a plan, God bless you, okay? Get a plan. Even a bad plan is better than no plan. So that's takeaway number one, create a plan. But let's assume that you have a plan for 2025 in place. I would stress test your plan under the following rubric, which is this. Does it look like other people's plans? And if it does, I would be very nervous. So when Costum talks about being anti-scale, here's why. Because scaling is what everybody talks about now. It's the same theory as when you're taxi cab driver or Uber driver is now starting to talk about buying meme coins. That's when you get out of it, is when they're getting into it. When your uncle, who doesn't know anything about real estate, is trying to flip houses, that's when you know the bubble's about to pop. And so you should look at what am I doing in my plan right now, and is it kind of what everybody else is doing? And the trick of this, the finesse of this, the hard part about this is 80% of it is you should do what other people do, best practices and all that. But the fortune is made in the 20% in which you deviate from the norm. That's when you do the zig where they zag. Now, here's the hardest part of all that so many of my clients struggle with, and we have to fight on this all the time, is everything is old, that's old is new again, everything that's new is old again. So the thing that you used to do that you quit doing because it no longer works, you may want to revisit it, put a new coat of paint on it, and trot it back out because existing assets that you can leverage are much easier than creating new assets. So one of the things that you should do is take stock and inventory. What have I already created that I haven't fully leveraged? That with a little bit of adjustment in 2025, I can put back out there and maybe it has value again. We're so, especially successful entrepreneurs. This is who I'm talking to tonight, right? If you haven't made your first 6 or 7 figures yet, this is less applicable to you, but I'm really aiming the content for those of you who have some momentum going, have some revenue, and you want to multiply it. What I find is you probably did something amazing 5 years ago and then you quit doing it. Don't know why. You just did. Probably because it was too predictable. It made too much money and you could predict it. Who wants that? We want chaos and unpredictability. We're entrepreneurs after all. We'll go back and look at that stuff again because 9 times out of 10, when I get paid the big bucks to do consulting for clients, 9 times out of 10, I take something they already did, bring it back out, slightly modernize it. These days, slight modernization means you put the 2 letters at the end of it. One of them is I, one of them is A, not in that order. And now all of a sudden, it's the coolest thing that's ever existed. AI webinars by Jason Fladlin. They'll suck twice as much, but they'll sell 10 times more to people who want to learn how to do them, not because they're better, but because they're different. And I kind of kid, but kind of not. You cannot ignore AI, but you have to take a strong position either for it or completely against it. But you can't play in the middle anymore. So when you look at your plan, I want you to review, hey, what did I used to do that I quit doing for no rhyme or reason other than it became boring and predictable? Can I bring it back out as is? That's step number one. And step number two, can I add to it? I will give you a depressing statistic that you will not like me for today, but hopefully next year when we're reviewing the year in review, you'll love me for it. X traffic on Twitter, ad traffic is like 97% bots. And it's the same thing on almost every other platform. Not to that degree, but if you don't proactively prune the tree of bot traffic, every one of these platforms are going to sell you as much bot traffic as you're willing to buy. So you either have to plan against that in 2025 or you have to supplement it with other styles of traffic that are very humanistic, such as podcast, such as speaking in public, such as selling books on Amazon. Because unlike these other platforms that have bots, Amazon has buyers. So these are the things that I would love for you to take a look at seriously in your business. And then the who, not how principle, right? Who do you need to help you to get to where you want to go in 2025? That's almost always missing from everybody's plan. They have the what to do, and they even maybe have the how to do it, but they don't slot in the who. And if it ain't somebody else, it's you. And I know you're great and capable and amazing, but you are only one person. Give me five mediocre, lesser yous combined together, and we will outpace you in the marketplace. So, who is going to help you in your plan, execute it? And now you can do things that you couldn't do before in your planning if you have who's. And you don't have to put names on it, although that's useful. You can just put roles. You can put what does this look like. And I think those are some of the best practices that I've worked with my clients. But I would absolutely put some serious planning and predictions. I'll give you one last tidbit before I hand it over to Perry. There's this concept, it's called the expectation effect. It's placebo plus plus. It's a book, and if you haven't read it, I'd highly suggest it. And I'll give you one data point on it of many. People that think a shake is healthy, the actual biological response when they consume it, their blood sugar doesn't spike as much. The positive indications of health are higher. The negative indications of health are lower because they think they're eating something healthier. Same concept when it comes to sleep. People that think they sleep better than they do actually perform better on memory tests and other cognitive functions. And so if we expect excellence, we are more likely to find excellence and we are more likely to perform at a level of excellence. So if you plan it, light it on fire, throw it out the door, and then go about your merry way, you're still better off than most people because most people are reactive, they're not proactive. So work that plan with the expectation effect in mind, and I think that's going to serve you very well.
I love what you just said. The fortune is made in the 20% where you deviate from the norm. That's brilliant. That's a writer downer. That put
Well,
me straight into bonus time.
howdy, y'all. Hey, I got a couple things I'll hit on, and then I want to go into something I've kind of developed for you guys for this particular call called Whoop 'em. And I think Whoop 'em's going to be, maybe Whoop 'em catches on. I hope it does amongst our Driven members and Ignite and all of our Mastermind members, because I think Whoop 'em is, if you can plan with Whoop 'em, it's a WOOPM system of setting your milestones for 2025 and getting your head straight. The people who follow Whoop 'em, I can practically guarantee you will lap everyone else on the call. So I'm going to share 4 documents with you in a minute on Whoop 'em. That's called a hook, by the way. So now let me talk about something completely different. So I fully agree with Qasim, with the exception of his negative opinion of e-commerce. I think e-commerce
I have
has
a very positive opinion of e-com. I get scared when there's players that can scale to a greater degree than I can scale. Just to clarify, forgive me, Perry.
Well, there's a way around that. And so I think your DFY services thing is absolutely true. We have to redefine. If you've ever thought about, man, I'd sure like to be able to sell that, but God, it's a lot of work, right? We need to redefine effort, because today with AI and robotics, I'm going to be talking about a lot of this at AI Bot Summit coming up next week, which, by the way, is sold the fuck out. I'm so happy about that. We are a packed house. We're standing room only in Orlando. It's going to be great. Anywho, you can redefine effort now. So things that you looked at years ago or months ago or weeks ago and said, man, I sure would like to do that, but God, it's a lot of work. You just don't have to look at it that way anymore. You really don't, because you've got this army of agents that can do all of this work for you. And when you combine that army of agents with global talent, like Qasim and I use, Qasim in Argentina, me in the Philippines and Asia and India, you've got a giant advantage over everyone else. You know, you still need to be the creative force in your business, because AI is not going to replace creativity anytime soon. Although, I don't know if you heard the latest news, they basically have said they've reached AGI at OpenAI with O3, which is out now only to like scientists and developers. That one thing AI has not been able to do is pattern recognition nearly as well as humans. Only about 5% of human pattern recognition could be done by AI. All the different models, the top AI model for pattern recognition was 5% about 2 months ago, and the O3, and that's all of them. That's all of them put together. The best they've ever been able to do is 5% of human reasoning. The new O3 model is 79%. 79%. So that's genius level human pattern recognition. And it's there now. That's there right now. Certain groups have it already. Anyway, but deploying people done for you doesn't mean done by you. That's probably the biggest thing you got to catch on to here. You program a service like you program a computer. You create a plan, you train on that plan, you hire people to execute on that plan. It's very much like Wolfgang Puck. I got to know Wolfgang Puck pretty well when I lived in Bel Air, because his Bel Air Hotel restaurant was one of his favorites. He was there a lot. He doesn't cook. Wolfgang Puck is not a cook. He is a chef. And the difference is the chef develops the recipe, and he used to bring all the chefs into the Bel Air restaurant from all of his restaurants and train them on how to cook that thing with his recipe. Then he could send them back out to all the different Wolfgang Puck restaurants and get that Wolfgang Puck experience to taste the food. That's who you are. If you change your mindset right now, the only difference is a lot of the cooking can be done by robots now. So you can have robots cooking, and you can have international talent cooking. I had 89 US employees 24 months ago, and now I have 3. Every time you hear me talk about this, remember a few months ago I had 8, then I had 5, now I have 3. I have 3 US employees. So it really is getting down there. So I think that but the world still needs more done for you services than it's ever needed. So the idea of selling done for you services and doing them very economically. Now, I'll warn you about something. Don't go out and sell these services at, if everybody else is getting $2,000 for a service and you can do it for $200, the inclination is, well, I'll go be $1,995 and I'll make $1,800. If you're me, you go out and become $300 and you just slit the throat of the market and take it all, right? Because that's what's going to happen. These AI tools, these AI driven services are going to make everything more affordable. And it's going to need to be more affordable because less and less people are going to have a job and money. Okay. Secondly, somebody said to me today, you know, if I need to make $5,000 a month, what would you do? And my advice was really clear. I'd go find something nobody else wanted to do and do that. Right. The challenge right now is that everybody is, oh, I got coffee. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. So if I'm doing something that, if I'm out there starting my own cosmetic line, or I'm becoming a social influencer, oh my God, or all this other bullshit people are trying to do. Do you know how many people are trying to start cosmetic lines right now? You know how many people are trying to start clothing lines right now? Tens of thousands, right? I just started a pool table moving company. You know how many people are trying to do that? Well, about one around here, right? But I can put a crew on the street making $2,000 a day with a box truck and this $5,000 pool table dolly that I bought, moving pool tables, because nobody wants to move a freaking pool table. And when I'm done moving pool tables, I'm going to move pianos and hot tubs. 2 more things nobody wants to move, right? And that little business, I promise you, will make me close to $100,000 a month within 90 days because nobody else wants to do it. Now, How many of y'all think Perry's out there building his muscles up, schlepping pool tables, pianos, and hot tubs? Anybody want to guess? Go ahead. It's an easy number.
0.
0. I ain't touching that stuff, man. Ain't no way in the world. But I'll pay guys way above market wage to go do it because I can charge way above market for the service because no one else wants to do it. Supply, demand, right? And these businesses like Costin was talking about, is that a scalable business? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm Pool Table Movers International and I go to every city and I don't care. There's enough pool tables right here in Austin, Texas, where I'm now at. My office is a mess, by the way. We just moved in the house. So, but there's enough pool tables right here in Austin, Texas, and hot tubs and pianos for me to move, right? That I think I can build a low 7-figure, 60% margin business in a year, less than a year. Guess what else I don't want to do? I don't want to sell it. I don't ever really care about selling it. It's annuity. And I use my marketing skills. Everybody else here in the pool table moving business, they do not have a opt-in form above the fold. Cosm, can you imagine that? There are 3 competitors here. None of them have an opt-in form above the fold. How well you think I'll do? I'll get them all. You know, and most of them, when you call them, you get an answering service. And the guy that wanted $1,400 to put my pool table that I've already moved here together and felt it, could do it this weekend. The cheapest bid I got was $900, and he couldn't get to it until the end of January because he was so booked up. What's that tell you? Right? Secondly, e-commerce. Be the manufacturer, man. Be the manufacturer or be a value adder. If you don't know what I mean by that, if you're a manufacturer, you're talking about competing with those big boys that got all the dough. If you're the manufacturer, you are very much on their level. If you're buying now they can buy raw materials for less than you, right? But they're also going to have more expensive labor, pension plans, factories, all these things. And if you're into these really small, weird niche businesses, like, dude, I got a prompt I'm going to show at AI Bot Summit that's incredible for going to O1 and saying, I do this. Find me 20 weird, high demand, low competition markets for it. Yesterday, it found me one. I don't even want to talk about it on here, but it's really good. I'll go ahead and say it because y'all making something don't scare me. Lubrication oil for 3D printers, also known as oil, right? But people don't buy that way. They buy very, very, very. Do you really want to put sewing machine oil in your $2,000 3D printer? No, you're going to buy 3D printer oil from this guy. And you're going to buy a bottle that cost me $1 for 24 bucks. And it's different, right? So this linear marketing, this linear process of marketing that we've created called funnels or funnel hacking or whatever you want to call it, right? It is known, right? It's known. When you're selling the $7 thing to sell the $50 thing to sell the $300 thing, that I kind of sort of, I wouldn't say I invented it, but I was right at the forefront of it, right?
Didn't
I'm
you
the guy
invent the
telling
name Tripwire?
I did invent the name Tripwire.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of shit. Well, you should call it a welcome mat. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I did invent the word Tripwire. But I mean, the Tripwire was invented many moons ago. Mostly the biggest success in the Tripwire business, I think, ever was the Columbia House Records. They sold 20% of all the music sold in America by giving you 10 records and tapes for $1 or a penny or a quarter or what the hell it was. They made so much money. But that model, it's just challenging right now because the cost of traffic, as Jason was talking about, there's so much fraud in traffic. Who knows what the real cost of real traffic is? You don't really know. And I think there will be correction to that. The market's going to correct to it because they're basically pushing everybody out of the game, right? The market will adjust to it and they'll have to fix that fraud issue or that industry will kind of cease to exist. It'll just be so riddled with fraud, nobody can make any money. And advertising is great until nobody makes any money, right? Um, the big things I think this year, so I think linear marketing has been the king. I think we're going to go back more to supermarket style marketing. And if you look at what's happened in retail or in food or anything else, the cafeteria model was the model for a really long time. You went to a restaurant, you picked out your meat and your three vegetables and your whatever, and that's not really true anymore. It's fast food and supermarkets. You used to go into the grocery store and you would say, "Give me one of these, give me one of these, give me one of these." They make you a bag. Now you supermarkets took over because they gave you giant variety and you could pick and put things in the bag. So there's two different kinds of markets. There's this ascension market, this linear ascension market where you sell somebody something for a little bit of money to get them in the door and then you ascend them up. And then there's the model where you just got what I call a lot of littles market, where people just buy compulsively all the time. And when you get in a market like the survival market that I'm in, or the sewing market, or the makeup market, I mean, not very many women go out and buy $2,000 worth of makeup one day, but they'll buy $40 worth of shit every week for the rest of their lives. And if they get brand loyal and you're treating them well, it's a different kind of market. And if you get prime in the manufacturing of that, like even services, when you start melding these two concepts together, like the pool table service, I'll give you an example. Pool table service, everybody else is playing this game. They're ordering their felt from the big felt guy here in the US that's marking up the felt 8 times that he's selling to the pool table guys. I'm importing my felt. Guess what I'm selling on the back? I've got pool table felt service. I'm going to be selling the felt online. I'm going to be selling the pool table balls online. I'm going to be selling the chalk online. I'm going to be selling the sticks online. Right? So I sell all those things online, but I'm doing pool table moving installation services locally. You can combine these things together. I'm not saying you want in the pool table moving business, and you probably don't, frankly, because it's, and you sure as hell don't want to do it in Austin, Texas. I'll beat your brains in. But if you want to do it somewhere else, yeah, but find something like that. Go ask, hey man, what service could I offer that's the demand largely outstrips the supply? If you're in the life coaching business, right? As if that were a business, the demand has long since been met and drowned with terrible competition, right? So anyway, those are my like trends for the year. I think you're going to see that, and that was a little encapsulation of trends. Now let's talk about getting you where you want to be this year. So number one, you do have to get really clear on the value you're going to trade for money, because this thing of like, let me see how little I could do for the most amount of money, that ship has sailed. That game is over and done with. You're going to have to deliver a lot of value. Doesn't mean you have to make all that stuff or do all that stuff. It just means you are going to have to deliver a high degree of value for a person's dollar moving forward in 2025 and beyond. I see value restaurants like In-N-Out with lines three blocks long, while Five Guys, you could roll a bowling ball through there and not hit anybody because it's the same hamburger at 4 times the price. Nobody wants it. So value is going to be a big deal. Product quality and value are going to be the big deals coming into 2025. And we're going to have to train our focus on the value that we're giving people for the money that we're charging them, and a lot less on the slick, tricky mechanic that we're going to use to sell it. Because if the product's good enough, I'm not going to say it sells itself. It's certainly not going to sell itself. Great marketing in my opinion, is an accelerator to growth. It is not the invention of growth. You can't take a turd and polish it and market it and sell it for very long. I'm not saying you can't do it, but you can't do it for very long. And I set these 3 standards this year for myself, and I suggest you do the same. Number 1, if you're providing a service to people, are you qualified enough at doing that service that you should be able to do it damn near blindfolded, right? It should be second nature to you, especially if you're going to teach it as an expert. 2, but I'll get to, yeah. Two, is there more demand in the market for what you're selling than there is supply? If they're not, you are banging your head against a wall. Because the demand, I know like guys like Jason and I've been able to do it. You can create demand. There's demand generation that's possible, but it takes a lot of time and it's a lot of effort. And getting people to sit still long enough to create that demand is really hard today. So why not be in a market where there's already natural demand? There's so many things that people can't find enough people to do for them. Why in the hell would you want to go out and create artificial demand? Stop somebody, tell them they got a problem, tell them you have the solution, tell them that they need to buy your solution to the problem they didn't know they had 15 minutes ago. It's a whole lot harder than me just moving a fucking pool table or pumping out a septic tank. Yeah, I'm in the shit business too. You know why? AI ain't going to pump no septic tanks. AI ain't going to move no pool tables. You know? So while I make a lot of money in the AI space and I'm using AI and robotics in all those businesses, right? I'm investing in businesses that will be largely unaffected or not for some good time. They'll be down the rabbit hole. And then Qasim's theory of businesses that don't scale and just have a lot of them is what I've done my whole life. And the more niche down you go, guess what? The less people screw with you. Because the kid coming out of Columbia or Princeton or NYU or Berkeley, they're looking to build, I want to build a pool table moving app, you know, or some bullshit like that, because that'll scale. I can get total scale out of it. Great for them. But it's just so much easier just to do the damn work. USC. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, let's assume for a minute that you know what you're going to do. And if you don't know what you're going to do, you know, stick around these guys. Stick around Qasim and Jason and I. Go to our events. Join our mastermind groups if you want to. Do whatever you want to do. And figure out what the hell it is you're going to do with your life. If you've already got something, see if it, that last question, by the way, 3 questions. One was, one was, are you qualified? 2, is there demand? 3, and this is a big one. And if you guys ask yourselves this question, honestly, you may go out of the business that you're in right now. Will your customer be satisfied 1 year from today that they purchased the thing that you're selling? Are they going to be happy they did it? Will it have had a positive effect on their life? You can't say, well, it's not my job. If they didn't do nothing, I can't help that. Bullshit. If people don't use your product and get a value out of it, they're not going to be satisfied with it, nor are they going to buy something else from you in the future. That's just the truth of that. And you're building a business that is a house of cards. If I move that guy's pool table from A to B, I set it up and he can play pool. Next time he needs to move that pool table, guess who he's going to call? Right? If I'm lousy at moving pool tables and I fuck it all up, guess who he's not going to call? Me. And he's going to tell everybody he knows, that guy over there is a piece of shit at moving pool tables. You don't want to use him, right? But the truth is, it's just, I can't beat that drum enough. Okay, so all that being said, let's talk about how to get you, for those of you who do know that already, you know where you're going, right? You know what you want. Let's talk about that for a minute and getting crystallized on that, because I've discovered some things this year. I've talked about one of these. I didn't do a list for it, but I'll give you a precursor. John Astroff helped me with this. I got my shit together about 18 months to 2 years ago. Started getting my shit together again. I sold a bunch of companies, had a bunch of money. I got lazy, I got demotivated. And I talked to my buddy, John Astroff, and he said, "Man, you don't sound like yourself. You okay?" I said, to be honest, not really. I just feel bored and a little depressed and shitty and not much is happening and going on in my life. And he gave me an exercise that I would suggest that you guys do. You guys got a week here to do these things I'm giving you. And if you do these, I'll know the people that the men and women on here that do what I'm about to show you, you will have a marked difference 1 year from today over the people who don't. And if you're really feeling funky and you don't know your direction and things, this first exercise is really good. Take a legal pad out and sit for at least an hour. Don't do anything else but stare at that legal pad. And on each line of that legal pad, write something that you don't want in your life. Write something that you don't want, because it's really, really hard for people to quantify what they do want. And do that before you do these other 4 exercises I'm going to give you. Okay. Because people, if you say, hey, what do you want? Well, I kind of want this. And I've watched Jason Fladland just tear people apart that come up with some bullshit goal. Well, I'm going to make $1 million next year. Well, how much you make this year? Well, nothing yet. It's like, what's your plan? Well, I'm just going to grow my business, stupid shit like that. Right. Those people are dreamers. They're dreamers and idiots. And, don't squash my dream. I need to squash your dream because it's a fucking dream. It's a wish. It's bullshit if you don't have anything to back it up. But the biggest thing is getting clear on what you want. And I had a hard time with that. I couldn't figure out what I wanted. I really couldn't. And John said, here's how you're going to figure out what you want. Make the most detailed possible list you can make of everything that you don't want in your life. Everybody knows what they don't want. Everybody's crystal on that, right? Make that list of everything you don't want. And what's left over, it'll be a pretty damn short list. And you'll get focused in on that. And you just start ignoring all those things that you don't want. Let them die off. You don't have to call up everybody that you don't want to hang out with anymore and say, I don't want to hang out with you anymore. You just don't hang out with them anymore. If you don't want to watch so much TV, guess what? You just stop watching so much TV. You don't have to make big resolutions about those things. You can just move toward them. And know that every time you're doing one of those things that's on your do not want list or anything that supports the do not want list, you're wasting a lot of valuable time. And time is the one thing, no matter how much money you have, you can't buy back. So, okay. So let's get started on the whoop 'em method. Anybody want to see that?
I'm so excited and also a little scared.
Whoop 'em. So, okay, I'm going to give you the first part of whoop 'em. Hold on just a dang minute. And this one's going to seem a little silly, but it's really not. First part of whoop 'em. You need motivation to do these things. You need motivation to be in business. And most of the time, people's motivation are things. I want to make X money. Why? Well, because I want to take my new wife to Europe and buy her all kinds of expensive shit. Right, Jason? Yeah, I know where you're at, buddy. I know where you're at. I want to take her to Europe. I want to buy her all kinds of shit. I want to go to fancy jewelry stores and fancy clothes stores. Because then when she get home and try them all on, she make me real happy. I get it. We all want things, right? We all want things. And it might be things that you want to give your kids a new car. You want to buy your mom a house. I bought my mom a house. I'm from the South. So I bought my mom a house in her latter years. Paid for home. So I automatically get to go to heaven just like Elvis. Because that's the way it works in the South. You buy your mom a house, you get to go to heaven. You get a free pass. So I can do kind of anything I want. P. Keeban Van Cleef in business. Shh. Okay. All right. So, but this list of 66 things, when you're off this call, do that first exercise that I gave you just with a legal pad, because that one's pretty straightforward. And you might have 500 things you don't want. You might have 10 things you don't want, but list them all as indeed, and take that hour. If you can't think of any more after 15 minutes, sit there and stare at that page, right? Sit there and stare at that page. But when you're done with that and you got a good idea what you do want, sit down on each one of these lines, write something that you want. If you want a Maserati convertible, write it on the line. If you want a lake house like I do in Arkansas, write it on the line. If you want another Rolls Royce like I do, write it on the line. I got some stuff that I want this year, but I'm setting goals for myself and I'm rewarding myself as I hit those particular commitments with different prizes. I'm giving myself prizes as I hit different milestones, and we'll get to milestones in just a second. This is I'm the only one dreaming about what. Wait, man, I just can't wait to get Arkansas. you know, so,
Look,
all
hey, I
right.
printed that.
Yeah, it's freaking cool, man. And the thing is, here's what's crazy about it. When you start filling it out, you'll get to about number 30 and you'll run out of shit that you want. But keep going. Keep writing more and more stuff that you want, that you really, really, really want. Because these are going to be the prizes we're going to give ourselves. We got to remember why we're doing this. I mean, being in business is like hitting yourself in the head with a hammer. It sure feels good when you quit. There's no pleasure in being in business. I'm sorry to pop your bubble, but it is not a pleasurable exercise. Not when you're really in it. The idea of being in business when you're not in it is sexy as shit. but the reality of being in business, you know, uh, is completely different. So you're going to sit down and make this list. I suggest again, you take an hour. I mean, this entire process can be done in a couple of hours. Can be done tonight. And I'll tell you, whom of you take that time and do this will achieve. And those of you who don't will not. Not unless you just happen to get lucky, which I don't believe. Whoop'em, let me tell you what whoop'em stands for. Whoop'em stands W, wish. That's where 99% of you stop, right? I sure wish I had this and I sure wish I had that. Or my goal is a new Ferrari in 2025. How are you going to get there? I don't know. I'm going to grow my business. I'm going to double my business. How big is it now? Won't have one yet. You'd hear stupid shit like that all the time. Some of y'all may have said stupid shit like that. That's okay. It's a new year. It's a new time to reset. Let's get down to reality, man. What are you going to do to trade for value, right? So, whoop 'em, wish. O is outcome. If you get that wish, what's the outcome of that going to be in your life that changes it? Okay. What's the outcome going to be? If you get that wish you're wishing for, if you get six-pack abs, um, trying to look, see who's on here. If you get, Sakasa probably already got six-pack abs, so I don't mess with
They're
them.
in a cooler.
They're in a cooler, yeah.
Keep them
Yeah.
insulated.
Yeah. So if you want six-pack abs, what's the outcome of that? Why do you want it? What's the outcome of it? If you don't have a good outcome, then it's probably not a very good goal. If you don't have something that you're going to gain from that, why would you have it? Well, I want a new Ferrari. Well, why? Why do you want a new Ferrari? Usually it's because you want to get laid, you know? But so maybe that's what it is. If it is, write it down. That's cool. You just need an outcome. It increases your image, maybe. Maybe it makes you feel like more of a man. When I had a Rolls Royce, a year ago, I guess, I got rid of the Rolls. I used to go do my conference calls. When I had a big negotiation for an exit, I would go out to my Rolls Royce, sit in my Rolls Royce, and do my calls with investment bankers because it made me feel powerful. It's stupid, but I used it as a business tool. Yeah, that's it. That's why I need one. Yeah. That's it. That's it. So, okay. 2, outcome. 3, and this is where everybody screws up with their goals, I think, the most. What obstacles are liable to stand in your way of getting there? Everybody thinks about the goal, but nobody considers the obstacles, right? It's like saying, I want to be the world champion boxer. I want to be heavyweight champion of the world. Well, there are a few obstacles standing in your way, right? There are a few obstacles, and they're big, mean, ugly obstacles. If you didn't consider those obstacles, there's no way in hell you're ever going to be the world champ. It's an impossibility. P is plan, a reverse engineered plan to get there. And M is measurement. If you're not measuring that plan, you're not going to make it. But what I'm going to give you now are these tools. And for those of you who do it, right? For those of you who do it, I cannot wait to see what you accomplish in a calendar year, because you're going to write down those 66 things that you want. And I promise you, a year from today, you'll have at least 6 to 10 of them. I can absolutely guarantee you that by just the function of writing them down and looking at them on a regular basis. So my 66 things And the next document I'm going to give you are on frames. And I've got them by my bed. I've got them in front of my mirror where I get ready in the morning. I've got one in my office, and I've got one in the kitchen because I cook a lot. I want to see those things in my face at least 40 times a day. The more you look at them, the more they become real and true. I promise you, this sounds corny as shit. I can't even believe that I'm the guy advocating this, but it's a life changer. I swear to you guys. I promise you it is. Okay. 2. This is the second document. These are the milestones. These are not the things you want. These are the things you want to accomplish in 2025. The things you want, there's no timeline on those. And if you can make a vision board of those, by the way, you'll be even further ahead. If you make a vision board where you can have an optical view of what those things look like that you want, if it's my phone has a vision board on it. I want a new boat. I want to have my house, believe it or not. If you saw my house right now that I just moved into, and you saw this house that you see the image of there in the middle of my phone, they are scarily similar. And I had never seen this house before I put it on that board, right? So there are things that I want. My body is not where it's at yet on the vision board, but I'm way closer to it than I've ever been, right? So these milestones that you want to reach this year, these things you want to accomplish this year, these commitments you want to accomplish this year, they're the thing you need to burn in your brain and see everywhere you look. Read them aloud if you can, if you feel that bold about it. Read them aloud on a regular basis, but have them in your peripheral everywhere you're at your office, at your home, in your fucking car. The more you see those things, the more you burn in your brain, the more of them you will accomplish. Was Whoop'em created? Whoop'em's created, my version of it's created by me. There's a lady who wrote a book that used WOOP as but there was no measurement to it. I like Whoop'em better because it sounds better than Whoop anyway. So I stole some of this. Some of these pieces are put together. They're all put together from different areas, especially the John Asheroff piece in the beginning, right? So those 20 milestones are really the things you're going to remember the most. And we're not just going to look at them, okay? This is the next part. Here's the next document coming your way. We're going to track them. So each one of the 20 things that you put on your milestone list, and they can be more than 20, they can be less than 20. It's up to you. I think it's pretty reasonable to assume you can accomplish 5 of those a quarter. And some of them you can probably knock out quicker than that, especially when you begin. And Emma Rainville gave me a great tip. When you're planning annual planning, plan to be done by the end of the third quarter. Set your timelines to end of third quarter for the year. That way, if you've missed one or two, or you're behind somewhere, you've got that last quarter of the year to make them up. If you're on track, goody for you. Take the last quarter of the year off. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. Go buy some of the things, or take some of the vacations, or do some of the things that you wanted to do from your wish list because you've hit your numbers, okay? From the things you really want. But this document's pretty interesting. Hold on. Let me explain how it works. I'm going to share screen here and open that one up because it gets a little more detailed. Yeah. Well, what kind of PDF reader I have on here. But you'll see here, for each one of these things that you're trying to accomplish, what are the 3 main actions you're going to have to take to accomplish them? And what are the 3 KPIs that let you know you're getting there, right? Most people don't have any measurement. They don't know the KPIs that are getting them there. How are you going to know if you're winning or not if you don't have KPIs? And the actions are going to be usually pre-actions. So if you're wanting to make if you're wanting to produce $1 million webinar, I don't know how Jason goes about this. I'm sure it's a very complicated process, but I'm betting that he doesn't go, well, I'm going to make $1 million on this webinar. I don't know how many people I'm going to have on it. I don't know what my average ticket's going to be. I don't know how many of them are going to buy the upsell, but I'm going to make $1 million. Fuck it. That's what I'm doing, right? I'm sure that's not true. There are leading indicators and metrics that tell him, I've got this many people have answered my emails. I got this many people that registered. I got this many people that showed up. I got this many people. So it's just like knocking doors as a door-to-door salesman. If you know that you sell 1 in every 18 doors you knock, and you need to make, if you sell 1 in every 20 doors you knock, and you need to make 5 sales a day, guess what? The metric is you knock on 100 doors that people answer, right? So those actions and those KPIs are super important. And then I'd love for you guys to each buy a red, a yellow, and a green marker. And you should have a clipboard like I do. I have a little clipboard that has these, each one of my tracking goals on it. And I'll go back every month and see where I'm at. I don't wait till the end of the year, right? Green means, if you highlight that in green, green means that, I got a banner. That's stupid shit. Green means that you have the plan and the plan is on track. Okay? You have the plan and the plan is on track. Yellow means you have a plan, but the plan is off track. You're not where you wanted to be at this time in the plan. And red is, I don't really have a plan and I ain't on track, right? And if you're honest with yourself once a month and do an evaluation, I would set an alarm on whatever device, set it in your calendar, set an alarm on whatever device you have to track these once a month. You won't come to the end of the year and go, oh shit, I guess I didn't make that one, right? Because that one may be really important to the whole thing working out. Okay. And you can have you need to print one of these sheets. And I don't like, you can do all this in spreadsheets and Google Docs and shit if you want. But I think there's something to, oh, thanks for whoever likes to doodle on my fucking thing. Look at that. So you can do all these things digitally, but it's absolutely proven it does not have the same effect as writing with a tactile, believe it or not, pencil's even better. Ballpoint pen. The more drag you have, the better. The more tactical feel you have of that, the better. Okay. And then lastly, and you can do this before or after, it's really up to you, is this document. Actually, you probably should do it before the tracker. And this is the visualizer. This actually brings the milestone to life, right? What is the wish that's on your list? What's the outcome that's going to come from that? What are the obstacles you can already recognize? And there are probably ones you won't recognize that are going to be in your way. What can you already recognize you're going to have to overcome? Because if you're not taking into consideration the obstacles, the first time you get hit by one of them, you're going to be like, oh man, this is really hard. Can't do that. Mitch Miller wrote a thing the other day. It was hilarious. Sent it to me. It's called How to Sell Dumb Shit to Weak People. It was one of the funniest satirical documents I've ever seen. It was hilarious. It was like entrepreneurs, people that want to be entrepreneurs, want the money, want the cars, want the house, want the stuff. And the minute they're met with the first little bit of resistance, they're like, oh man, this is really hard. I'll go try a different opportunity. And they just keep throwing money at training and opportunities and plans and stuff and never get anything. What's your reverse engineered plan to get here? In other words, how many people do you have to get to answer your email? How many people do you have to get on the webinar? If one of your milestones is to create a winning webinar this year, and by winning, define it more clearly. I want to create a winning webinar that produces $200 a month, $200 a visitor for everybody who comes on my webinar and stays till the close. Then you're going to, because I can go get a lot of partners that'll work with me if I do that. I don't know why I'm talking about webinars. I don't even do webinars. Got webinar kingpin on here, but I'm just seeing his face is making me think of webinar. You know, you're going to have to think about those things way before you get to how many am I going to close. You know, you can't save souls at an empty church. I mean, you got to get them there, right? So how are you going to reverse engineer that plan? Or how many products? If I'm going to put products on Amazon this year, and we're going to talk about building products with AI to go on Amazon at AI Bot Summit, it's one of the first things we're hitting, and I'm bringing in some of the biggest hitters in Amazon to teach you how to sell those products once you develop them. Um, you know, I don't want any products on Amazon that sell over $20,000 a month. And you might think that's a big number. That is a candy ass number on Amazon. There are products on Amazon doing 10 million a month, 2 million a month, a million a month, a half million a month per SKU. And guess what? 9 million people are trying to knock them off that pedestal. The guy selling $18,000 worth of hermit crab food, nobody's fucking with him. I want to be him times 100. I want to be him times 10, right? Less obstacles in the way. Buffett has a saying, I don't look for 100-foot buildings to jump over. I look for 2-foot curbs to step over. And I absolutely believe that. So how are you going to reverse engineer that plan? If your wish is to build a $1 million e-commerce business this year, and the outcome of that would be that you'd make 20% of that $1 million. So you'd have $200,000 to support your family, pay your bills, and quit your job so you can concentrate on business full time. And you know the obstacles are going to be product development, marketing, sales, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What's the reverse engineer plan to do that? If you're not very good at selling stuff, then you need more stuff to sell. You know, I took a job as a stockbroker for about 15 minutes when I was younger. And there was an old dude there that said, boy, this business is easy. If you're good on the phone, make lots of calls. If you suck on the phone, make more calls. That's really it, right? So you can do more of those non-scalable businesses that Qasim's talking about and that I'm doing. I have the resources, and Qasim does too, to throw money at those. We can go buy a $300,000 sewer truck if we want to, but you don't have to. You know, there are plenty of people. I met some guys here in Austin that built a multi-million-dollar business. They started off with 2 squeegees and 2 buckets cleaning windows in front of buildings. And now they've got scissor lifts and all kinds of stuff, and they do mid-rise businesses, and they're doing $3-4 million a year, enjoying a 50% margin on it. And guess what? They don't do wash windows no more. But guess what? You might have to wash a fucking window when you start. Oh, you poor thing, you. I schlepp more shit than anybody on this call has ever schlepped. I promise you. I've done flea markets. I had painting companies. I've done everything you could imagine. And I started most of them myself with no money, right? So I don't want to hear your shit about, well, I want to do that. Well, then stay poor. Go get yourself a job at Starbucks. They're looking for baristas right now, $22 an hour. You can come out pretty good on that, right? If you live real tight. But reverse engineer that plan. What are you going to have? If I know that my average product's going to do $20,000 and I'm going to make $6,000 on a $20,000 product after Amazon takes their cut and I do all my stuff, and I want $1 million a year business, right? That's going to come out to me having to make what? Cost them about $85,000 a month net. So I'm going to need 12 products, right? Is that about right? Rough numbers?
I went to public school, Perry. We're going to need somebody with a degree.
Well, that's true. I didn't think about that. I should ask somebody else. Do we have any Asians on here? I'm just kidding. All right. Reed, I got Reed with that one, boy. And then measure.
Ann waved her hand. She's like, I'll do it.
Ed's like, I'm here. I can do the math. So measurements, right? Like if Ann wants to make more money, she's got to get more patients or she's got to open more facilities. Those are kind of her 2 options. She's got to get more patients. She's got to spend more money. She's got to get them to come back more often, or she has to have more geographic locations with other people running them. I know Ann's business. I love Ann to death. That's one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. But she doesn't have a business that scales. But you know what? They live a very happy life with plenty of money, right? But she's still on here learning and growing. But she may not want to do these things. If you're rich already, and you don't want to do more stuff, I hear you. I get it. Don't. Just be happy and rich. Right? But if you're not rich already, I promise you, Ann makes a lot of money right now. But Ann did shit she didn't want to do for a lot of years to be able to make that money right now. This is a really interesting one. If you can assign this to each one of these, it'll make such a big difference in your life. When I've achieved this milestone, I will become what? I will become a multi-million-dollar e-commerce seller. I will become a healthy person. I will become a fitness expert. I will become a bodybuilder. I will become a long-distance runner. I will become whatever. If you don't think this is important, this is a really interesting study I read the other day, that this year in the election, when they surveyed people, they asked them, are you going to vote in the upcoming election? And in another survey, they said, in the upcoming election, will you be a voter? Will you be a voter this year? The people said that they were going to vote in the election, 46% voted. The people that said they identified themselves as a voter in this year's election, 79% of them actually voted. They identified as a voter. So identify whatever the hell it is you want to become. Identify as that. Buy yourself a t-shirt. Put it on a fucking t-shirt and wear it everywhere you go. You will work yourself into that identity. I promise you. But that's the kind of the crux of this. If you do this, no matter your talent level, honestly, you may not accomplish everything that a super talented, super smart, super experienced person would do, but you're going to accomplish a hell of a lot more than the average person that doesn't have a commitment, that doesn't have a plan, that doesn't have any measurement, you know? And, you know, we got people in our group that go anywhere from, you know, our driven group, they go anywhere from, you know, what, $6-7 million a year to $100 million plus a year businesses. And I promise you, the ones that are cow kicking it, the ones that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars, they're tracking their progress. They're setting reasonable commitments, not goals, not wishes. They're making commitments and they're recognizing what they're going to have to do to get there. They're reverse engineering those things. It's just the way business works. You know, everything I just gave you is as common sense could be. But some people just need a framework to do it in. And I'm one of them. You know, it's so much better if you have a framework to do this. And I don't know, Qasim or anyone else or what's your name again? Yeah, Fladlin. Yeah. You know, I don't know what you have to add to that, but that's kind of, that shot my whole wad there.
Dude, I love the very last thing you said about the identity. When I have achieved this milestone, I will become. I think that's so, so important. Because there's a difference. I learned this from Brandon Turner. Do you know Brandon? Beardy Brandon, real estate guy? He's super sharp. And he talked about that a little bit, but he said, like, if you set the goal to exercise, for instance, that's not tied to your identity in enough of a way that would really move the needle until you can decide, well, if I had the identity of an athlete, what does an athlete do? So I really, and you can, every goal should accompany identity, dude. I think that's absolutely freaking brilliant because as soon as you tie it to your identity, it becomes kind of not an option anymore. Like you already are that, and then the output follows. I think that was genius.
I think it certainly has all the things that I walked through with you, writing down your goals, writing down your 20 big accomplishments in the year, according to most people, you have a 40 odd % higher chance of achieving them literally by writing them down. And by reviewing them on a daily and weekly basis, those points go up further. So I think, is that gonna be everything you need to do? If you write all this shit down and then you put it in a book and you sit down on a couch and you watch more Landman, right? Are you gonna kill it this year? Now I watch Landman. I do watch Landman. That's the reason. Yeah. But the less, one of my big things this year is 2 hours of television a week. 2 hours. No more than 2 hours of television. it's a waste of time for me. If I'm going to take the time to turn my brain off, I'll come in here and sit, read a book, or just don't do anything. I'll just sit and think. And that's a big goal for me this year is have more thinking time. We feel like, I think most of us feel like we have to fill our time with something. We have to fill our time with if we're not working, we have to be entertained somehow. Our brain has to be filled with something rather than just think. Thinking is everything, man. If you can have more time, the more time I have to think, and if you know Emma Rainville and you ever work with her, you know that you don't get much time to think. Um, the better off you'll be. I know she's here. That's the reason I'm screwing with her. I've got something for you to do, and you need to do it right now, damn it. Right, Emma? Me love you long time. Okay. Jason, what do you
Yeah.
reckon?
So something that you said made me think about identity. So when we sell or create products or move markets or what have you, the one thing that I do more than anything is what's the identity of this person need to be in order for them to buy? So it works so good. You should use it yourself and you should use it on your market too. So the number one thing that will stop any market from buying when you're selling like anything serious that will change a person. So like if you're selling like cutting boards, this doesn't really matter. But if you're selling any transformational type of product or service, if your audience views themselves as a failure already, you will never sell them, period. Doesn't matter how good your promise is, doesn't matter how much proof you have, it doesn't matter how good you can communicate, doesn't matter how much traffic you can give. You'll get the 10% that will say yes to anything. They're just in the market to buy, and you happen to be the person in front of them. That's not a business, by the way. Some of you have made $1 million off of that, you will lose $1 million just as fast. You need to be able to sell to people that can go either way. There's a lot more of them, and you will run out of the 10% sooner or later. So the idea becomes if somebody has an identity as a failure, how do we shift that identity in some way to where they can now see themselves doing a thing they couldn't see themselves doing before? So labels are one of the most powerful ways that you can create an identity. So if you can give somebody a label that they can give to themselves, they're no longer the thing they think in their head. They're the label and all of the significance you've attached to that label. So for myself, I don't use the term entrepreneur as an identity because to me, entrepreneurs typically take the dumbest risk imaginable. If there is a way for them to cut the downside by 50% and they will lop the upside off by only 5%, they'll be like, oh, fuck it. We'll just take the downside with the upside. Who needs a backup parachute? We got one should be enough, right? So I don't label and identify as an entrepreneur. I am an experimenter and I'm very curious. So I'm a curious experimenter, and this allows me to be detached to the end result. So I can test a lot of things out and have a lot of flexibility because I don't need to be right. I just need to find out what things get responded to and what things don't. So I don't have this friction of my sense of self-worth attached and tied to the outcome of the marketplace, right? So that's me personally. The identity that I try to create is that of an experimenter. Now, with my audiences, I try to get my audiences to create identities to where they feel very safe to try things out to take one or two step forward. So one of the ways I could give you a million ways. I'll try to give you just one or two or three simple ways. Is I try to get them to go back into the past when they've achieved something even greater than what I'm asking them to achieve today. And then they can feel that sense of accomplishment in the past. We can take it into the present and point it at whatever we're selling at now. So one of the easiest ways you can do this will work in any market, is none of you knew how to speak or talk before. You couldn't read. If you were English and you walked into the classroom and you saw those letters above you on the chalkboard, they were like hieroglyphics. You couldn't make hide or hair of them. None of them made any sense to you. Now you know how to take all 26 of those letters, string them together, and you can communicate, some of you better than others. And so this is me tapping into an identity of you as a child who was able to accomplish amazing, successful, unbelievable things if you think about that, the technology of language. And then if I can put that in front of you now and you have some sort of obstacle, like I can't get traffic, or I don't know where to go in the marketplace, or this thing that used to work no longer works anymore, and I'm in a state of learned helplessness, right? This is one of the ways I can shift that identity. from I've tried a bunch of things and they failed to I've done a bunch of awesome things and I've succeeded. I'm somebody who has immense success and accomplishment in their life in the past. And then if we can wrap that all up and put it on a bow, this is how you really can communicate and sell to markets. And this is a skill that's only useful in every market known to man. So this is the power of, I will tell you in 2025, the more first principle skills you can develop, the more dangerous that you will be. So AI is not a first principle skill. And AI can be an output of first principle skills. First principle skills are what are the essential things required in order to get the outcome that you want. And then if you want to go meta on it, what are the most common first principles that you see over and over and over again? Communication is 100% at the forefront of every single business that I see. So Perry said something on a driven call earlier this year that I've been thinking about ever since. Is he says, I'm looking at buying businesses that look cool if I show them on TikTok. That I'm summarizing what he said there. So his calculus now to
Products
buy
for sure.
businesses is not just EBITDA, right? It's not just ones and zeros on spreadsheets. It's like, could we show this off on TikTok and get people to go crazy on it? And the example that he gave, or a similar example is, and I know all of you have seen this, I've seen it, and I don't know why it's so fascinating, but it is. You take a very dirty rug and then you clean it. And that thing, by the way, will get 1 million views. You could tell the theory of relativity like Einstein, you get 206 views.
Satisfying videos, they call them. Yeah.
Satisfying videos. And the example that you gave, Perry, I remember now is retreading tires. So you could take an old tire, retread it. So you could have some kid who you pay nothing to because he's an intern at some college nearby, film the video for it, post it on social media, and you'll get 1 billion more views than any talking head video of anything enlightening in business that Perry I or Acosta could ever
I
talk
got,
about because that
I got
shit's
a
boring,
product that
right?
we're developing right now. It's a silver clay. By the way,
Yeah.
this is an interesting story. So I've been seeing this clay for 5 years. It's a clay that's silver powder mixed with a clay. You form it and you make things out of it, and then you fire it, and the clay goes away, and you're left with a solid piece of silver jewelry. Right? I've never been able to crack the formula on this. 4 days ago, I asked Gemini,
Oh, Gemini.
how do I formulate this product? It gave me the formula, the process, the steps, the equipment needed to formulate it, everything within a matter of a few seconds. And now I can make this product. And we show it on TikTok with a toothpick. You can form and make silver jewelry. And it's going to be crazy what happens this year with intent data and all the stuff you're talking about with traffic. I think that search traffic and even social traffic is going to limit this year. Intent data is going to be the year, I think.
I'm going 100% organic. Not 100%, because a skill set that I have that's very frustrating with me because I can't teach it to any of you very effectively. I haven't figured it out yet, but we even talked about it earlier on this call, and I'm going to loop back to communication. Actually, this will tie communication up together. Is I don't have to sell the whole market. I have to sell the person who controls the market. So I make one sale, not 1 million sales. And people are like, well, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, you have to know how to communicate. And then they're like, okay, sorry, I can't do that. And even on this call, and then he even hit me up on Facebook. There's a gentleman here. He was like, well, what would you need in order for me to partner with you, Jason? I'm like, I can't do your homework for you, right? That automatically disqualifies you if I'm the gatekeeper of audiences. You can't come to me and make me work to give you the recipe to get to my audience. I don't have enough cognitive cycles to spare some to you. And so a lot of that is savviness of understanding what a market is and what they need and who controls them, and then showing up with the solution for the person that controls them. And you give it to them on a silver platter. And you got to be willing to give them almost all of it and put your ego to the side. I've made deals with people where I did all the work and they made most of the money. But it was acceptable because the input that I put in to make the money I made and to get the exposure that I got was an acceptable trade-off. I didn't need to win the negotiation. I just had to construct a situation where the outcome was acceptable. And for most of you, you ain't making enough money to have an ego the size of the ego that you have. So 2025 is the year of the ego. The better you can take the ego down, I think the more money you're going to make because there's more ego than ever before, and it's easier to fake success than it ever before. It's so much easier to fake success
And
than ever
people can
before.
smell it like a fart in a car now.
I mean, I wish they could, man, but some of them can, but a lot of them are still getting sucked up into this stuff. And I think a lot of it is availability.
Those are
This
largely
is
the
what the
people you
algorithm.
don't want, though, at the end of the day.
You don't
Right.
want them, but man, I don't want my audience spending time with some idiot when they can spend time with me. So this is how it cuts the rest of you if you're not careful. And the algorithm does a really good job of perpetuating them as well. But communication. So communication is verbal and it's nonverbal. So how do you communicate something without saying anything? That's what Perry was talking about. So this is an edge in business. We can now evaluate businesses to acquire because they look good on the gram. And if that's your one factor of differentiation of why you're buying, here's how we used to do back in the day. We would buy businesses that had email lists that were neglected because we would unneglect them and we would make a boatload of money because the undervalued asset in this business was email. Now people understand the value of email. What they don't understand is certain businesses work better on social media than other businesses do. And does that give us access to the traffic much easier? So that's the nonverbal communication. And then there's the verbal communication. So how can I improve my verbal communication? Social skills are now at a scarcity level I have never seen before. The kids that grew up that were afraid to call people on the phone, they are now 40 years old. The generation that first grew up where they didn't have to have social skills because they could make phone calls and they could send emails. I had my first email account when I was 14 years old. I still have it to this very day. I have an email account that is 27 years old. And so this generation got by without having to talk to people face to face. And now they're scared out of their mind to talk to anybody face to face. And so if you can figure out a way to have more social skills, that has a higher ROI today than at any point in history. Social intelligence is more valuable than emotional intelligence, which is more valuable than actual intelligence. And so this is another first principle skill. So how can we incorporate socialization in a very powerful way? Now I'm going to add to something that Perry said. And listen, I don't know if you've caught on yet, but this is a value-based call that's masquerading as well as a recruitment strategy to get you to join Driven. I want if you are the right fit, you need a mastermind. And if you don't have a mastermind, I would like you to be my mastermind. If you have a mastermind already, a second one is better than just one. Most of the people that I know that are successful are in multiple masterminds. So I really hope a few of you resonate with this and take it to Driven. But it's ironic because what we're talking about typically is aimed at the newbies, but it's even more valuable for those of you who are in business. Visualization is one of the ways that you can develop any of these first principle skills. So if you can see it in your mind as crystal clear as you possibly can, then it's as real as if you did it. So for the beginners that they don't know how to ask for the money, I have them visualize asking for it 1,000 times before they ask for it once. And then when they ask for it once, it doesn't feel weird. It feels natural. So if you want to increase any of these communication skills, you start with visualizing yourself doing it over and over again until it's as if it's as real as it has happened. Because if you could think about sucking on a lemon and your mouth waters, and you could think about me taking a rusty nail and ripping it across the chalkboard right now, and you physically can feel it in your ears and it hurts, then why can't you create the visualization? So if you can combine what Perry said with putting down your goals, putting down your intentions, and then run the tape of visualization, that tape of visualization will make it feel real. And then you can add the identity to it. One of the things that I love about Driven, we have a very clear identity. I think a lot of masterminds have an identity crisis. They want people to like them and they want to make a lot of money. Society will give you one or the other, but they will rarely give you both, my friend.
That's a fact.
You have to
Yeah.
pick and choose. Do you want to be liked or do you want to be rich? We have no qualms with being disliked by the masses. In fact, that's a feature, that's not a bug. We will happily be hated by the masses because the masses are always wrong. If they were right, then they would be exceptional. They would be abnormal. They would be extraordinary, but they're
We don't
not.
want
So
those, and we don't want those people in the room. I mean, it sounds like
no,
Kevin's thing. He always says that the club is not about who's in the room. The club is
that's
about
right.
who's not in the room, and
Yeah.
that's the great thing about you got to be in a room full of I think you do have to be in a room full of people. I call it, we talked about it before, immersion, right? Being
Yep.
completely immersed in the market, being immersed in France, you're going to speak French eventually. You're immersed in Mexico, you're going to speak Spanish eventually.
Yeah, dude, now that I'm in France, I like don't want to make money anymore. And I've only been here for a week because nobody here ever tries to make any money whatsoever. The number one thing French people do is they stop you and tell you what you did wrong just to let you know that you did it wrong. And they don't help you, right? And I'm like, God damn, I got to get out of here soon. Otherwise, I'm going to become French and you're going to start calling me Sebastian instead of Jason. But yeah, immersion. You are the five people you hang around with the most. You are the mastermind that you're in. You are the audiences that you cultivate at the end of the day. It's contagious. So you can catch good cooties or you could catch bad cooties, but you're going to catch something. So that is the number one lesson I've learned more than anything is you are who you surround yourself with, which is not the most secretive thing in the world, but it's still the biggest truth I've seen in this business is you got to be around the ass kickers if you want to kick some ass. And I will tell you this, and this frustrates me so much because I'm actually a kind guy. I get a bad rep because I can be very precise with the language to help people that need help. Perry has seen me in action. When I said to that lady, remember that one time, Perry, I said, now that you say it out loud, how does it sound? Because she was living a fantasy world, but it totally reshaped who she was, completely changed her business and her life. I have a surgeon's tool when I need to help you, and I will cut and I will cut and I will cut. But I'm overall a pretty nice guy. But what I've grown and taught
Debatable.
over the years is this cautiousness of language and this worriness of offending somebody. And this, we have to slow down. 100 people
Hell
have
with
to
all
make a
that.
sacrifice, so one person has to feel included. That just doesn't make sense to me anymore. And so I like being in the mastermind of Driven, and I like operating with this new attitude of authenticity first. So be authentic to yourself. Two, put out value in the world that's received. By the way, how is value received? Take note on this. Results, not feel good vibes, not pats on the back, results. I started doing Facebook again because this is part of me pushing organic in 2025 because I fucking hate Facebook more than anything, right? I would rather play piano in a whorehouse than be on Facebook. But
Hey,
that's where
it's
all
not
you,
such a bad life, really.
it's not really. You get tips. Sometimes you give tips too, but that's a different story. Uh, so I'm on Facebook now, and what I'm doing, because I'm like tired of all this other bullshit. I've made too many people too much money and got too little credit as a result. And I don't need the credit, but the credit, I need the referrals, right? So I'm posting these results on the last Driven call. Guy makes $1 million, puts it in there. His name's iPad. That's his name that he logged into the Driven call we did the other week. I don't know who this guy is. Screenshot it, put it on Facebook, and I'm like, y'all need to tell me when I make you money. And then he tells me it's a 26, no, it's a 21-year-old kid from India. He interviews me on his podcast a week later while all of this is happening. All this is on Facebook. But I'm posting results because every day I'm making these people a whole bunch of money. And I'm like, fuck it. I got to put it out there so people know who the real deal is. They know the difference between these guys who Xerox the Xerox of the Xerox of what I do and the originating source. That's how you put value. So, one, be authentic. Two, provide value. Value is predicated based upon results. So, get people results. But then when you get it, you don't censor yourself. You don't slow down to the dumbest person in the room because you're afraid that they need a wheelchair accessible version of your thing in
Toot,
order to grasp it.
toot your own horn, baby, because ain't nobody going to toot it for you.
But this whole cautiousness of communication. Now, don't be an idiot and go the other way, right? Because some of you like that are in the other field of it, you done lost your brain, right? You're now out there being professional agitators at the expense of your own business. You don't go that way either. This is where authenticity comes from. Have something worthwhile to say and then say it with no apologies. Driven is where we foster that the most. This is where we have a communication that we cannot have in public, not because we're afraid to, but because it's counterproductive to have it, because there will be too much rabble rousing. Now, I can't have these communications in other masterminds. I can't go to other business masterminds and have these communications. I don't know why. Don't matter why. And so this is why we're excited about with Driven. But I will tell you, some things change, but most things don't change, my friends. 2025 is a different kind of hard. I love what Perry was saying earlier. It used to be really hard to build SaaS. Now you just go to one of Perry's AI events and he'll teach you the secrets of how to build no code SaaS in 60 minutes. You join Ignite, which you get for free, by the way, as a Driven member. And you have workshops like that happening every other month. So now that SaaS is easy to build when it used to be hard, What does that open you up to do before that you couldn't do before? So you spend less time on the coding, you can spend more time on the marketing. Now, what kind of marketing? It has to be a different kind of marketing than what used to be in vogue. Well, any kind of marketing. Because if you can spend all your time on the marketing, guess what? You can take more swings. So you got to be more agile in the marketing. So how do you be more agile in the marketing? You crowdsource different marketing practices and you find ways to implement them quickly and see the results. And so we are crowdsourcing marketing practices inside of Driven, not the stuff you see in public, because if you see it in public, it's already outdated. You know the difference between lettuce and trash, right? Timing. So a lot of this is fresh lettuce that has now been sitting out a little too long, and you get E. coli when you eat it. So you got to be at the forefront if you really want to truly be on the cutting edge. And listen, I don't know why I'm this way. Perry doesn't know why he's this way. Cossum doesn't know why he's this way. But we are wired to find opportunity and make money with it and continue to grow businesses, even at the expense of our own personal comfort and happiness. We are the scorpion on the back of the frog crossing the river who stabs the frog, and the frog dies. And he says, "Why did you stab me?" And he says, "Because I'm a fucking scorpion." Money makers, right? We will continue to do the thing we were designed to do. And it doesn't
Emma
matter how
screams at
successful
me
we've been.
on the
And it doesn't
regular.
matter what we've accomplished. And it doesn't matter what initials come from AI or from AGI or for anything else that comes out of there. We are programmed to sniff out, find, uncover, exploit, and expose the best money-making systems that exist online. And if I ain't doing that, that's like Picasso not painting. All right. And this is where we live. We would like a couple of you lunatics to join us. But even if you don't yet, then really 2025 is who can stay sane in an insane world? That's the person that's going to be making money. So don't get sucked up in the noise. Make the communication that cuts through the noise. Don't get caught up and be reactive to the world around you because there's more reactivity than ever before. There's more distraction than ever before. There's more anxiety than ever before. So how do you be the same person in the world that's insane? That's protocol number one, because if you have that, supply and demand, that's a scarce, very scarce, very scarce supply.
High level of
Massive demand.
intention. You have a high level of intention. I think most people don't have a great
Intention is
level of intention.
absolutely where it
As,
starts.
even going through those plan documents I gave you guys earlier, if you don't have a plan, I promise you the world's got a plan for your ass. You're running everybody else's plan if you don't have one. That's a fact, Jack. And if you consider driven at all, know this. If you're a person that's tender and sensitive and you get your feelings hurt easy and all that shit, don't bother because you're just going to hate our guts in no time at all. That's a fact. If you're the big ballers don't play that way. The big ballers don't play that way. If you get your feelings hurt or get offended easily, you're going to hate driven and we're going to hate you. So don't do it. Right. But if you want to be in the locker room of the winning team, you can do that. And men or women, we got plenty of strong women in driven, like a lot of strong women in driven. So it's not like we got something. I'm not saying that toward women because our women in driven, I think, are a hell of a lot stronger most of the time than our men are. A lot of them are. So it's a great group, but don't jump in and say you want to be part of driven if you got tender skin.
Oh, don't be an agency either, because we won't let you
Yeah, we
in.
don't do agencies. Yeah. But gosh, if you don't know what you're doing or if you're looking for a transition, I'm going through a lot of transition this year. I just posted this little manifesto thing that I did in Google, a couple up that talks about what I've stopped doing this year that I'm never going to do again and what I'm putting all my attention toward. And most of it is not selling. I'm not selling more info products on marketing or sales at all. I think the marketing of marketing ain't that great of a business. So at least it's not for me because I don't want to own an agency. So I shouldn't be teaching that. I'm building, IRL in real life businesses. These are real businesses, and if you've got one of those or you want to have one of those, or if you're sick of just, if you're doing whatever you're doing and you feel kind of dirty and funky by doing it, there's a reason for that. If you wouldn't sell your shit to your mom, you shouldn't sell it to anybody, right? And I know a lot of y'all suckers out there, whether you want to say it or not, are selling shit you would not sell to your mom. You probably don't let your mom know that you sell that shit, more or less. But if you if you really want to be in a great group of folks, we'd love to have you. Is there a link they can go to, Jason? Is there anything they can do? Oh,
Yeah,
look at that. Magically, it suddenly appears. So
and
if you want to apply for Driven, you can apply for it there. And you can't just buy Driven. You have to apply, then get on a call, and we'll hop on a call with you and see if it's a good fit or not. Because we only have a handful of these things that come up every year renewal. There's no more than 100 members in Driven at a given time.
yeah, and
And
we're always close to the edge of that.
yeah, we're always we either are one or two behind or one or two above. If we have to hop in there.
Yeah, we
Go
sell
ahead.
them kind of like
Sorry.
airplane tickets, right? Sometimes we oversell them because half of you don't show up. Recap of Driven. I could do a quick recap here, if you'd like, because I saw that in the chat there. It's hard to explain Driven, but it really, if you had to put it on a bumper sticker, it's we take the most serious people who understand that rule number one in business is to make money. And then we source the best marketing strategies from the smartest people on the planet who are really doing it, bring them all in rooms together, and we have them share best practices, uncensored and unfiltered, just full out, playing at the highest level where the intent is to make as much money as humanly possible. The cornerstone of Driven is we do 4 meetings per year in person. So these are 2 day-ish meetings, 2.5 day meetings usually, and we do them 3 of them in the United States, and then one of them we go a little bit exotic and we go abroad with it. We love these events. Perry, I, and Cossum speak at them, but then we bring in the best guests to speak at them. This is where it's fully immersive, 4D kind of experience. Most powerful events that you can be at. They're different than regular live events in a couple ways, but the main feature is that you get to see each other throughout the year as opposed to one off here, one off there. And I think that makes a big difference. There's some continuity there. I will say the strongest selling point versus other masterminds that we do in Driven is we do these weekly Wednesday calls. I kind of complain and bitch about them in my own head because I'm like, oh shit, I got to get on another Wednesday call. And I'm on about 45 of them a year. Same with Cossum and Perry. We don't all make all 50 of them, but we make almost all of them. All 3 of us do. And these Wednesday calls are either we bring in guests to break down practices, we do hot seats on these Wednesday calls, we do review, we do analysis on what's working. We have faculty members that share things as well, and we have existing members that also share things. So this is like a mastermind every single week, high level stuff. And we bring in some of the biggest people that are on the planet that do marketing. We have War Room because Perry was a co-founder and runner of at one point in time the biggest marketing mastermind in the entire planet. And so we have the rights to that IP. We have 13 years of War Room. It was really the OG of business masterminds when it comes to making money. And so there's so much value just in the archives of that alone. We have all the live event recordings from Driven has been 2 years. It will turn 3 this year. This will be our 3rd year in business. God, it doesn't seem like it does it. We're like year 10 on a 3-year visit, the way that Driven has grown and the results and impact that it has. We have Slack access as well to us and our faculty and to each other and the members. We do weekly faculty calls. So we have different experts of faculty, which I'll talk about here in a second. And they come on and they have essentially office hours. So if you need any help from any one of them, you can pop on to any of these calls. You get Ignite Mastermind, which is Perry's other mastermind. I think it retails for, what does it retail for, Perry? 5 Gs? I think
It's
around
for
Yeah,
five.
it's
it's
5 grand.
for it's 4997 unless you're at an event or get it through a chapter.
Got it. So retail price on this is about 5,000. And man, you get all sorts of trainings on this. Traffic World, Lead Laundering Boot Camp, Newsletter Empire Summit, 60-minute SaaS, AI Bot Summit, so on and so forth. You get Springboard as well, which is a super powerful advanced marketing suite to run your business on. So you get access to that, and you can put employees in that as well. And then let's talk faculty. Well, by the way, you get courses from owners. Perry's got his courses in there. We got our courses in there as well. You get networking calls, you get meetups, dinners. It's a tax write-off for most of you if you buy before the end of this year. And then from a faculty perspective, we just got some of the biggest killers in the industry right now at their respective crafts. We have Eric Huberman who runs, I don't know, I think it's over $200 million. His agency, they serve most the Fortune 500 companies and for marketing services. We got Ryan Poteet, who is the man when it comes to compliance in law and business. Making your first million is fun, but then keeping all the millions you make afterwards is even more fun. So Ryan is an expert at helping you with compliance and making sure you got all your business stuff in order. We got John Moran, who's a Google Ads expert. We got Matthew Stafford, who's a website and e-commerce optimization expert and a data and analytics tracking and analysis expert. We got Reed Florine, who's AI and robotics process automation expert. We got Jordan Swanson, who's native and programmatic advertising. I think native advertising is a really good opportunity that we didn't even touch upon on this call. We got Steve Sims, who's a branding and customer experience expert. We got Luis Diaz, podcast expert. We got Rich Goldstein, who's great at patent, copyright, and IP law. We got Ruben Locke, who rocks it at local marketing and Google Ads as well. We got Rachel Miller, who's just unbelievably great at building community, Facebook, online education, software. We got all that stuff. That's just a little taste of Driven. It's $35,000. And I say that proudly because it's worth significantly more than that. But this is what the big boys and girls play to be in the big boys and big girls room. You have to have a minimum 7-figure business in order to qualify. That doesn't mean you automatically qualify. You sign up, we get on a call with you. Either Emma or one of the principals get on the call with you, review you, make sure you're the right fit. And then if you are, you're in. And if you're not, then you can go to Ignite as well and then build your way back up. It's kind of like the farm league system to get up into Driven. But that's Driven. That's the official pitch for Driven. You don't really sell masterminds like these. What you do is all of us have a really good deep network. Perry, I, Cossum, and most people, when they know that we're a part of it, they join. And we've done that, and that's how we've grown it. But occasionally, because we have audiences in reach, and we know that there's certain people that are right fit for it, we come out here, we do a dog and pony show like this, we get you on. That's not our primary goal here today, because we know for most of you it doesn't make sense. For a few of you, it makes a lot of sense, and hopefully you recognize that. And if you need to chat, we can chat offline about it. But hopefully you understand that and you can sign up. But we really, truly do want to help you set 2025 right. I go back 2007 in this business, so that makes me a very old man, but Perry goes even further back than I do. And so he has that legacy, long-term view. So do I. Cossum, he's a young blood, fresh guy. He goes back pretty far as well, but Cossum is on the cutting edge and he really rounds out Perry and I. He's really on the leading edge of the things. And it's fun because he brings this stuff to Perry and I, and we kind of put it together and we connect it in new and interesting ways. And then, of course, if Perry I and Cossum never did a thing in Driven for the next year, the faculty alone, the thing that is other masterminds are so much about the person running them. We're more about the people in the room, and we're more about the faculty because no one person anymore can know it all. There used to be a period of time where I understood Twitter. Instagram didn't exist even. I understood Facebook. I understood YouTube, and I understood like the 3 other things that a marketer had to understand. Nowadays, you can barely be a master at the thing that you're a master at if it's one narrowly focused thing. You can't know it all. You never really could. But now more than anything that you can't. It's like having a combination to a safe. If somebody gives you the numbers, it's easy to crack. But if you don't got the numbers and you're trying to crack it on your own, you could die first before you dial in the right combinations. Question to you, is it getting any even crazier or is it not? And you know the answer. It's totally getting crazier. It's the change is changing at a more accelerated rate than it ever has before in its life. But you know what happens when there's change? Opportunity. There's new opportunity. The more change there is, the more opportunity that there is out there. And I have gotten more out of Driven than anything I can think of in the last year. The insights, the connections, the opportunities, really the subtraction. Okay, these are the things I'm thinking about. These are the things then that I've been exposed to right fit the things that I were thinking about. Out of all the things I could do, this is the one thing that makes sense to do. And then you go out and do it. And then you go back and you talk to members. Just even in AI alone, the innovations that are coming out of Driven are insane. But I'll leave it for you to be the judge. One thing, though, that I want to come back to and single out, Perry talked about it and Cossum talked about it, and I'm just going to talk about it really briefly one more time. In 2025, you got to have the clarity in the vision of how you want to run your business. You don't need the tactics as much yet, or even the strategy, until you have your vision. So if you take nothing else, take this out. Use Perry's strategies to help you refine your vision and get crystal clear on your vision. Have that vision of what 2025 will look like. And if the clearer you understand it, the more likely it will be obvious to you the path to take. Those are my 2 cents, gentlemen.
100%. Well, man, I'm glad everybody was on here. I hope everybody got a lot out of the call today. We're doing an event. I don't think we got any. I think we're sold out on AI Bot Summit. We'll have other events coming up that you guys can join us in. It'll be fun. I don't know what else to say about Driven. Somebody's like, I don't want to do it. It's good, man. Keep doing you, bro. Keep doing you. If you, keep doing what you're doing. Keep getting what you're getting. If you're happy with that, God bless you. We're happy for you. We're proud of it. But if you want to hang out with a group of badass ballers, come on down. We'd love to have you. Love to talk about it anyway. If not, that's okay. This is not for most people. The vast majority of people that are on this call aren't a good fit for Driven. Maybe you will be someday. Maybe you take some of this goal setting stuff, make a bunch of money, and you're ready for it by this time next year. That's cool too. None of us want anybody in Driven that's not ready to be in Driven. It's the last thing in the world. So
yeah, principle that I teach often in all my coaching trainings is the higher the ticket, the less you have to sell it. It's funny because like you sell $2,000 products, it's got to be a hard pitch. The higher the price, the less you actually sell it. But we are probably the worst, most guilty party of that because we do the least selling of Driven out of any mastermind.
yeah.
We don't make enough people aware of it even. So I apologize.
We're full all year, so it really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
It doesn't really matter, but
I always say
kids don't have the shoes, right?
It's like my daddy used to say, the world needs ditch diggers too, son. You just keep doing what you're doing, baby. If that's where you need to be, then do what you do.
Yeah, if you need a tax deduction and you can write off business expenses, what better way to justify joining Driven? But at least you know we exist and we'll always be here. Sometimes we're sold out, sometimes we're not. We have a few spots here available and open. Do the needful.
Cool. Cossum, any final words?
I like that Jason ended with do the needful. For anybody who knows what that is, that means that you've been tortured.
It's an old Indian, British American phrase.
Emma, anything wrapping up? I see you're hanging out.
No, this is great, guys. You guys did great. Jason crushed. Jason absolutely crushed. Thank you. You were all right too, Perry.
Whatever. It is what it is. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate you showing up. Take the documents that I sent you. I promise you, if you'll take 1 hour each on the things that you want and those accomplishments for 2025, those 2 documents, use the others to track later. But fill out that document that really talks about the obstacles and the identity. I think that's what everybody leaves out. What are the obstacles you're going to face that you already know you're going to face? Because I promise you, it's going to be harder than you think it is because there are more obstacles out there than you're going to face. If business were easy, everybody in the freaking world would do it, right? It ain't easy, right? You got to be willing to sacrifice some stuff. In fact, you got to be kind of a masochist to do it, right? You got to bang your head against the wall and want to win. And you got to like solving puzzles and all that shit. And if you're not that, then you should go get a job. That's why God made jobs. That's why 2% of people employ the other 98%. 2% of humans on the earth employ the other 98%. So you got 200 and some people on this call, 190 people on this call, now 200 and some people before. The vast majority of you guys shouldn't be in business, let alone be in the highest functioning business mastermind in the world. You shouldn't. It's just not for you. If you're ordinary, we don't need no more ordinary. we're looking for extraordinary. So hopefully you got something to add. And if you do, we'd love to have you. Mark loves that. Get your shit done, baby. That's right. All right. Kathy, I'm glad to hear it. All right. Anybody got any comments, thoughts, feelings, emotions before we wrap this thing up? How'd you think we did? Scale of 1 to 10. How'd you think the call went? Anybody? Cool, cool, cool.
Steve
The
gave
one
us
Jim Bro.
150.
The one Jim Bro says 2.
Hey, two's
Let's
better
get
than
back in
one.
the gym, dude. Pump some more weights, man.
Two's better
All
than
right. Hey, you got muscles I don't have. But if you're rich, you're always good looking. That's the good news. All right. Take care, guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful new year. Happy New Year. Can't wait to see you on the other side. Thanks so much.
one. Bye now.